Hi, my name is Dylan, and this is a Books with Dylan video. Today I'll be doing a book review on this book. It is Burning Bright by Tracy Chevalier. I decided to read this book because I read Girl with a Pearl Earring by Tracy Chevalier, and I really love that book. So when I saw this book in the library, I saw it and I saw that it was a historical novel, and I was so excited to read it. And yeah, so I finished reading it yesterday. It took me a while to read it just because I kind of stalled with the first couple of chapters. It's set in 1792, so the way that they speak is kind of old, if that's a way to describe it. And yeah, it just took a while for me to get used to it. So if you are reading this book, or if you're thinking about reading this book, definitely get through like the first 5 chapters, because after that it's a really good read, and it just kept me captivated and kept me interesting. Things kept on happening, and the relationship between the two protagonists was really interesting. So yeah, as I said, it's set in 1792. The historical part of the novel is obviously London at the time. Not obviously, because, well, you haven't read the book. If you haven't read the book, you would know. But it's set in London, and the historical part is about William Blake. He is a poet and a artist, and it's just basically you get to see him kind of through the two protagonists' eyes. The two protagonists are not Maisie, Maggie and Jim. So yeah, the story starts out with Jim. Him and his family, they lose their brother. Their brother dies, and so when the father gets an offer from this Astley Circus from Philip Astley, who is also actually a historical figure in the book, they decide to move away from their town because, you know, all the memories and stuff are associated with this town, and they moved to Lambeth in London. They actually moved from their town in Dorset, and I love their town's name. I'm just fascinated by it. I wonder if it's real. It might be. I don't know. I should check. But I like the town's name. It's called Piddletrintide. I hope I said that right. But yeah, I really love that name. I think it's awesome. I would love to be able to say that I come from Piddletrintide. But yeah, they moved to London. It's a big move for them because they're kind of moving from a rural kind of countryside town to obviously London, to the big city. And yeah, straight away they meet Maggie. Maggie is this very, I don't want to say vivacious, but she's a very, someone's hammering. Sorry, she's a very not vivacious, but she's a very she says what's on her mind kind of thing. She's very streetwise, and she's a atypical kind of London person. Maybe a little bit rude, loud. She knows what she's doing. She's very experienced, much more so than the Calloway family, than Jim and his family. So she's amused by them, and she's interested in their family and Jim, especially, as well as his sister Macy. So that's how the story starts out, and then lots of other things happen. I'm just reading the blurb at the front. I'll read it to you because it would be much simpler if I just read it to you. So, London, 1792. The Calloways moved from familiar rural Dorset to the tumult of cramped, unforgiving city. Against the backdrop of a city jittery over the increasing bloody French Revolution, a surprising bond forms between Jim, the youngest Calloway boy, and streetwise Londoner Maggie Butterfield. Their friendship takes a dramatic turn when they become entangled in the life of their neighbor, the printer, poet, and radical William Blake. He is a guiding spirit as Jim and Maggie navigate the unpredictable, exhilarating passage from innocence to experience. Their journey influences one of Blake's most entrancing works. So yeah, basically Tracy Chevalier recreates for you in this book London at this time, and you get to see William Blake through Jim and Maggie's eyes, and it's really interesting. It's really interesting what happens to Jim and Maggie. They form kind of not a romance, because they're quite young and they've never been in love or never had relationships before. It's a very innocent kind of thing. Like I said, they're innocent. And I actually like one of the things that is said in the book about innocence and about experience and about opposites. So when you get to that part of the book, take special note if you haven't read it before. Take special note, because I really enjoyed that part, and I really enjoyed that the way that William Blake kind of explained that to them. So yeah, that was a good part of the book. Another part of the book that I liked is all the poems and songs that were in the book. They were very important to the book. One of the poem that I was talking about in the blurb about the influencing work that they influenced, the work that they influenced William Blake to write in this book. Of course, this is fictional, so they probably didn't actually influence him, but this is one of his important works that he's written, is the song or poem London. And I really enjoyed that poem. It was repeated all over the book, but the poem or the song that I really liked was the one that William Blake told to Jim and Maggie, and it was kind of about them. So I'm going to read it to you. If you don't want to hear it, I will say, this is kind of like a spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear the poem or the song, whatever, then I will point to the time that I will finish saying the poem or song so that you can skip to there. So yeah, now I'm going to read it. In the age of gold, free from winter's cold, youth and maiden bright, to the holy night, naked in the sunny beam's delight. Once a youthful pair, filled with softest care, met in the garden bright, with the holy light, had just removed the curtains of the night. There in rising day, on the grass they play, parents were afar, strangers came not near, and the maiden soon forgot her fear. Tired with kisses sweet, they agree to meet, when the silent sleep waves over the heavens deep, and the weary, tired wanderers deep weep. So yeah, I really like that poem. It's probably going to be one of my favorite poems / songs. It's not the whole one because he gets interrupted saying it by his wife, but I've read the whole poem or song. The poem, I'm pretty sure it's a poem. I've read the whole poem and I really like it, and it's just an amazing poem. And I really like it. So yeah, spoiler alert is over. I don't know why I'm pointing. Spoiler alert is over. So now you can watch again if you didn't want to hear the poem. Yeah, the thing that I liked the most about the book is, I've probably already told you most of it, is basically the London life that you get to see. You get to see a lot of London in this book. They explore a lot, Maggie and Jim, and you get to see the circus. The circus is an amazing part of the story. It's a really big part, and actually Philip Astley, who's in the circus, is another historical figure, if I haven't said that already, and he's a very big character. I've heard that he isn't portrayed as big as he is in this book, and obviously she couldn't focus on, you know, all of these different characters. But yeah, you can see like a little snippet into how he would be and into the circus life, and I would really like to see a book like that. That would be awesome, to see kind of like the Astley circus. Maybe there is. If there is, you can tell me in the comments below. But yeah, I loved the relationship between Maggie and Jim. It wasn't really a love or a romantic relationship. There was always that aspect to it, but it only really came out at the end. And I loved the songs and the poems and everything like that. I loved just basically the London life. That was the main thing that I liked about the story. The thing that I liked the least about the story is the story is set around William Blake, and you don't really get to see as much of him as you thought you'd get to see. Like, there's a lot of things that happen in the story, as I said, and all of them are really interesting. But it takes away from William Blake, and also you get to see him through these two children's eyes or adolescents' eyes, and they don't portray him in his fullness. You don't get to see him completely, and they don't analyze him or think about him as much as you would think they would. They do obviously think about him a little bit, but not as much as you would think, since the book is written about him. But yeah, and you don't get to see a full picture of him. You do get to see like little parts of him, but it always switches away to some other thing that's happening in the book, and it's always interesting. But I don't know, I just thought it was weird that even though the book was about him, or was supposed to be about him, you didn't really see that much of him. Like for instance, in The Girl with the Pearl Earring, you were like in the house with Vermeer, and you got to see him paint. Or not, you didn't get to see him paint, but you got to experience him painting through the reading, and you got to, you know, you really felt like you were close to him, and you were just experiencing him in his fullness. Whereas this, you were not really experiencing William Blake as much as in the other book. So that's the only thing that I don't like about it. I give it a 3.5 out of 5, and I really love this book. Yeah, it was a really good book. It was not as good as The Girl with the Pearl Earring, but it was definitely a really good book, and I really loved it, and I recommend it to you. And I give it a 3.5 out of 5 if I haven't said it before. I hope you enjoyed this book review of Burning Bright by Tracy Chevalier, and I will see you next time. Bye! I really love historical novels, and